I rode in a bulletproof, bomb-resistant FBI car driven by an agent and went in the back seat with an Uzi machine gun. I wore a bulletproof vest wherever I went, and it was the most horrifying experience that you can ever dream of. When your children's lives are in play, it makes a tremendous difference in how you view life. So, ladies and gentlemen, to tie this story in, if I did not back down one day from the mafia, I am not going to back down to special interests in Washington or the people that want to whisper in your ear. Not a chance. Will not happen. That answered your question. It's kind of a long way around. Yes?
I've heard that story on Frank show.
Yes.
That's when I first started my admiration for you. Especially with the going to the football field.
Yes.
Being a freshman congressman, and this government of ours is talking about, everything, you don't agree with them, it's racist. On the point of racism, being in Congress as a freshman, coming back home to the people, it seems that if you're not kissing somebody's butt, you're not bringing the money back, which to me, equal distribution of what this, well, I won't put any title to it. Coming back, how can you, as a congressman and a freshman, come back and straighten this stuff out where if you're not kissing somebody's butt, you don't get to bring any money back to your state?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't plan on bringing any money back. I hope that doesn't shock you.
I hope nobody else.
That's the mission. It's exactly the mission. All these additions of bills that give you the bridge to nowhere and all the other nonsense. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan, we didn't bring it, did we?
It's in there.
No, that won't help us. It's a little humorous, but I think you'll get a kick out of it. Ryan, who's on my staff, looks just like a stop sign on every corner that we come to. And it has a nice pole on it. And I tell everyone, I'm taking this stop sign to Washington, and every time they want to add something to a bill, I'm going to hold it up and say stop. Every time they bring out a bill, I'm going to say stop. Here's something I don't understand. Everyone in this room, I'm sure, has had this experience where you say, boy, I'd love to put on a sunroom on the back of the house, but I can't afford it right now. We can't afford it. I have never heard that come out of Washington with any bill that they come forward with. I've never heard anybody say, time out, we can't afford that. And that's a simple message, but that's my message. Right now, we cannot afford to get into foreign, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of the citizens of this country. And the way we do that, ladies and gentlemen, is by not being frivolous and foolish with our money. And I know how to do that. Remember, I started this organization, Mr. President. I started my organization with $10,000 that I thought was all the money in the world. And that included a second mortgage on my little house in Garfield Heights. I know how to be frugal. To be a growing businessman, without money, you have to be frugal and make the money to expand. And every expansion that I've undertaken is with money that I made. Once again, please get fired up. I hope there's another question. Is it okay? Oh, okay. I thought maybe this. I just. Just fine. We don't need pork, please. We don't need that anytime, anywhere, any place.
Hey, Mr. Gandy, Adam Frederick, we've met a couple times.
Sure have.
Just so everybody knows, my father was one of the FBI agents involved with everything Mr. Hanley did, and there's no embellishment there. The stuff that Mr. Hanley says he did, and the risks that he took, and the benefit that he was to the FBI. I didn't know what was going on when it was going on at the time because I was just a kid, but I heard it later. Everything is true.
And his father was the head of the organized crime squad. And I can tell you that his father was one of the bravest men that I've ever met in my life. Highly decorated in the Vietnam War, as I recall, and very brave. I can tell you that these mafiosos, keep in mind, I'm going to get right to that question. Keep in mind that the people that his father went up against, and what I went up against, were stone cold killers.
Yes.
Stone cold. And there's a difference. When you look that person in the eyes, there's a different glare in a killer's eyes. And they certainly had it. His father didn't back down for 1 second. Yes, sir.
Yes, earlier this morning, we had a little lesson on the Constitution. One article that was not mentioned was Article 15, giving every citizen the right, at least one right to vote. Unfortunately, it's been violated and exaggerated, where in 1908, 2008, was excessive corruption in Cleveland. Terrible corruption as far as voting. And this year, it's doing the same thing, and in Illinois itself, a majority of those military people who fought overseas, and I did at one time, are not given the privilege to vote. Can't you, as a congressman, do something to be sure that the military give an opportunity to vote? The majority of military people overseas from Illinois will not have their vote counted. And yet, the city of Chicago and Cleveland will have corruption and excessive votes and so forth.
I will certainly allow those wonderful young men and women of our military to vote. If I have to fly over there and pick up their ballots and bring them back, I'll do that. They have a right to it. While we're on the subject, that's the one part of our we don't have a budget. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Our federal government did not put together a budget. How do you run a business without a budget? But the one spending issue that this guy will stand up for is to supply those his heroic men and women that are out there defending our freedoms, to give them everything they need, every bit of technology, every bit of the latest weaponry, and every bit of ammunition. A neighbor of mine's son is in the Marine Corps in Afghanistan, and they sent him out on a mission into Taliban territory with 6 bullets in his rifle because there was a shortage. That I won't allow to happen. I will not send our kids into harm's way without the very best that we can supply them with. So that's how I can get it.
Yeah. My question is, when you do win, the next 2 years is going to be very difficult for you. What can we do to help you? Because the mainstream media is not going to give your side of the story. How can we keep supporting you and other people who still haven't got your message and only the negatives against you?
Thank you for that question. You can help me at the grassroots, talking to people. Tell them that all this nonsense, these attack ads, and if you've noticed, I've tried to stay above that. It gets awfully hard when people start attacking. Not only do they attack me, they attack my businesses. I wouldn't be in business 42 and a half years if I were doing any of the things that they suggest in those attack ads. I've been trying to stay above it. I want to share with you a philosophy. First, to answer your question directly, we do that with you. You need to talk to people, tell them that this stuff on television is absolutely untrue. Then we need to convince more and more people. I've stayed above it because I've always felt when I watched television, I had never planned on being in politics. Never. And I've never been in. I've never run for a school board or anything. But when I saw what was happening in Washington, I said, somebody's got to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever I watched television in the past, during campaigns, I would say, why don't you, on television, tell me what you're about? Let me decide if your opponent is this terrible scum of the earth. Let me decide that. Tell me what you're about. And I would ask the other opponent to tell me what you're about. And that's why I've tried to stay above this, ladies and gentlemen, and tell you and tell everyone out there in television land who I am and what I'm about. Unfortunately, I think my opponent got panicky. Plus, and I want to point this out, there have been 7 organizations come in on behalf of her, all spending between $500,000 and $1 million. Now, I've had nobody come in because I won't allow it. I don't want to be in anyone's back pocket. I can tell you, and this is a little bit of an attack, but you take it for what it's worth, if all those outside interests are coming in on behalf of my opponent, they must figure for sure that they got her in their back pocket, or they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't spend millions and millions of dollars. Last week, I believe the number was $1.5 million last week spent to attack me. And I'm spending mostly all my own money. And you know, my competitive juices get going too. You're gonna see some more ads as we head down the road here to the end of this election. You're gonna see some very, very interesting ads. But I need your help. I still think I stay above the fray. I don't want to get down in the mud and sludge and dirt and grime. That's not my style, contrary to what the attack ads may say. We have a question way in the corner.
You seem to have a lot of fight. You seem to have the spirit of a lot of us military families. You seem to have a real great grip on what's really needed, and we're with you. But a lot of us have a big fear of the Muslim situation. The Sharia law is infiltrating our legal system. And along those lines, how can we make sure Sharia law stays out? Because this is America, and it's the American way, the Constitution. It's not Sharia law. We don't want to compromise.
And we won't compromise. I can look you all in the eye and tell you, for better or for worse, whatever it is, I will follow the Constitution of the United States, the greatest document that's ever been made in history, and I will insist that anyone around me follow the Constitution. Should they decide to not do that, you said I have some fight in me, and boy do I. And will I take it on? Absolutely. The Constitution is our governing document. And there's a lot of things going on today that are happening outside the parameters of that wonderful Constitution. And I'll do what I can to rein that back in, because the Constitution does not say that we should have czars. Russia has czars, but we have more czars right now than Russia's ever had in its history. Never heard of that before. You know, I will stand up for our Constitution. I'll stand up for the Bill of Rights. I will stand up for the traditional values that our founding fathers brought forth onto this continent. When it comes to that, I am a traditionalist. You know, I'm also a history buff, and I love to read about those founding fathers. Do we all know how lucky we are that we had that group of men at that time in history to put together that document in such a short time frame? Today, the attorneys would take 15 years to put it together. Yeah. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Yes?
Yes, sir. That's all right, because I've been big enough mouth. I think you're the largest car dealer in the state of Ohio, is that correct?
That is correct, yes. I'm the largest automotive businessman in the state of Ohio.
I think I want to ask, approximately, do you know roughly how many transactions you've been involved in? New car sales, used car sales, people in the service department, or break jobs, or whatever? how many total transactions are you involved in?
In an average year, now this hasn't been an average year, so I'll lower the number. But in an average year, we sell 30,000 cars.
Whoa.
This is not an average year, the last two haven't been, so let's say the last couple of years, we've sold 20 to 25,000 cars. We repair 250,000 automobiles a year. So if you, plus we sell parts. If you look at those transactions, well over 300,000 transactions. And the lawsuits, and that's where I'm sure we were going, the lawsuits are over 42 years. If you take the 400 lawsuits, divide them by 42 years, or divide them by the millions of transactions, as best we can calculate, it's way over 2 million transactions since I've been in business. And many, incidentally, this you'll get a good laugh out of. A number, not a large number, but a number of the lawsuits that they're talking about are lawsuits that I filed against people that bounced checks and kept the car. They're putting those against me. That's kind of interesting. Many of the lawsuits also are lemon law lawsuits, which are really against the manufacturer. That's who settles that issue. And as attorneys will do, they like to name as many people as they possibly can. So in every lemon law situation they name me, I just forward that to the manufacturer and they deal with it. So thank you for asking that, because the numbers are huge. Yes.
GOP 20-point pledge, what are your thoughts?
GOP 20-point pledge. I am always a conservative. I will follow the conservative doctrine. I will do whatever is necessary, honestly, legally, and legitimately, to reign in our country, to take back control of our House of Representatives, and to maybe take back control of our Senate. But I'd like to tell you something. I voted for George Bush. I wasn't happy with everything that George Bush did. I think we can improve a lot. And I believe that if we, as Republicans, take back the House and perhaps the Senate, or a big portion of it, we have to do a better job than we did in 1994, when all the voters stood up and said, okay, conservatives, here's your opportunity, go for it. I think we failed that opportunity. This may be our last opportunity to show voters that we can really embrace conservative principles and make them applicable to our daily lives.
One more question?
Real quick, when the lady brought up the idea about Sharia law, I'm not that smart, but I've had this thing going on in my head about melting pot. And this past week I'm listening to Rush Limbaugh, and he brings up this point. We've had Czech people come from Europe, Italian people, everybody coming over here. Everybody brought their culture, left the laws and the rules there. Now you have the Muslims coming over here wanting to bring their Sharia law and everything else. When are the American people and our leaders going to put a stop to that? You're welcome here, just like the illegal immigrants only go through the process because you're a history buff. People who don't know history don't know how we arrived to our freedoms and everything that went with it, and the pain and suffering in our life. Newt Gingrich, who's a historian, as you are, knows these things too, which I think can make a great president. But if people are going to have to be made aware, if you come over here, you bring your culture, you leave the laws there. That's European law, you leave it there, we're not European.
And you learn our language too.
If you're coming over here, you are coming over here for a reason. And that reason is to be with us and improve your life that you have lived in other places. So when you come here, you come our way.
I agree with you. You have a right to know where I stand on immigration. All of us got here through legal immigration. I mean, our ancestors came here, but they did it legally. As most of you know, I'm the head of Crime Stoppers in Northern Ohio. I have been for almost 10 years. We need to enforce the laws of the land. If someone is illegal, that means to me that they need to go back where they came from. If we catch illegals, we need to send them back. And then if they want to come in legally, I have no problem with that, if they follow all the laws of our land. But we can never, ever take illegals, or we should never, never take illegals and reward them with citizenship because they broke our laws. Does that make any sense? So that's what, I'm pretty sure. Any other questions? All right, let me fire you up again because we kind of let ourselves down. We got to get out there together. We've got to do it together. You can do it. We need to win the Super Bowl of voting on Tuesday, November 2nd. And you're the front line and the defensive backs and the quarterbacks. Let's get out there and make it happen. Feel that enthusiasm. Spread that enthusiasm.
We've got just a few more things to wrap it up here today. Lisa, do you want to say some comments about the volunteers?
Yeah, I'd like to just say a few things about our volunteer office. We are open from 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., Monday through Saturday through the election. Also on Sundays from 1 to 9. We have a phone bank. We'll be doing some precinct walking. We have signs, literature, everything you need to reach out to your friends and neighbors and let them know what's going on. We can use your help. We're right by 71 and 18, and we'd love to have you. If you haven't been there yet, please stop by and visit.
Mr. Quickie, you're all invited to our house. Did you know that? Okay. 1176 Final Circle on Tuesday. We're holding an open house for Robert Owen. Okay, we encourage you to come and listen to a guy that's really in favor of the Second Amendment. He's probably the only candidate for Attorney General that is strongly in favor of the Second Amendment. So between 7 and 9, Marcia's making cookies. I don't know if they have enough or not, but hopefully you'll come and at least listen to what he has to say. I'm looking forward to having you. Thank you.
One final thought from Ohio Project. They're trying to get 100,000 signatures on voting day. And so if you are interested in working a precinct polling place for Ohio Project, please come see me. I have a sign-up list. The other thing I just want to say is it is big fun to work the phones at McFan. It's an amazing system. And we are the boots on the ground, and we have to have those filled every single minute until election. I'm telling you, people want to talk to people. And if you're nervous about it, people are there. You can listen to them for a while, and you feel like you're doing a good job. But we've got to be boots on the ground, and we are the grassroots. And if we don't all show up, then Betty Sutton's money wins.
We do work on volunteers and donations. And we do have a $2 suggested donation for the meeting today to help cover the cost of renting this cafeteria for the meeting today. And I just want to thank everybody. We sure have had a lot of help and donations. Thank you all for what you do. God love you.
All right, Donna Lynch is holding up the bucket in the back over there. She doesn't have a microphone, so you should go talk. But we appreciate Donna's help to make us pay for the facility. It rocks. Final note on the vote bank, it flat out works. We use our own script, it's very simple, it's very friendly.
We're not there to twist any arms or anything like that, but we discovered that, a lot of people are still undecided. We have an opportunity to help them decide. We also find a lot of people that need the yard sign, and we can get the yard sign. So, that's very advantageous. We're making forays into other counties as well, because other counties are not as well we are. We have a mission over in Summit County this afternoon, about 2 o'clock. And we're planning a canvassing expedition at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Next Wednesday, John Kasich, Bill Batchelder, and a host of others are going to be at Semi-Disposal Resident at 1 p.m. So if for some reason you haven't got that email, make sure you take the opportunity. I think I'll just wrap it up there. So you can say goodbye to Tom Gamble. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, everybody.